Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. Sunday night, we have this live show, and it's called Chatters Live. Only because I recognized very early when I started doing these live shows that there was actually a conversation going on. And it was something really neat because in a lot of the content that I go into, it's a lot of people making statements and giving insights, but talking to each other, it's kind of really something special. And for me, that is the true idea of what community is all about, right? And as much as I do have yappers, people who yap more than me here on my live show, I understand not all of us are extroverted in that way. And people might say, well, that's not truly extroverted because you're at home and you're in your own safe space, that you're able to have a space to actually have your insights heard, right? Or to choose the topic of conversation. And that's the truth. But I am a true believer in baby steps. And I really, really, really do recognize that we can't be triggered. We can't be pushed. We can't be manipulated, right? Sometimes we can be influenced. We can be influenced only because we've had that same idea and same thought also. It's just the courage and the bravery that sometimes that we don't have. So sometimes just having somebody on our side, just having a teammate or something is good enough, right? To make it so that you would want to try, right? And yeah, baby steps. I'm a big believer in baby steps. It took me a year. Ask these guys, Owen, Andrew, hello. How have you been doing this week? Like this week has been a totally exhausting, kind of busy week for me, but a week that I'm getting things done and a week that I'm actually feeling good, or maybe not feeling good, but feeling more comfortable in where I'm at in this moment in time. Recognizing that there are times in our lives where we get bombarded with different things, right? I can't imagine, having your best friend's wedding this week and then having a parent die a couple of days before that or after that. And it's that combination of mixtures of feelings that really do help us get through, right? It's like I know when my father died or when my marriage fell apart, getting back to work and just staying back at work and staying busy, it did so much for me, right? I wasn't in that moment ready to open up those packages and right, because it was a big hit to start with, but to actually delve in and actually have that grieving process happen, yeah, I wasn't ready to take that trigger. But in baby steps, I was able to put those packages on a shelf for a little while, right? And time does erase some memories and some tie of remembrances, but at the same time, it makes it so that we can manage to get through, because I don't know if I had to absorb, truly absorb what was happening in the true impact of what was going on in my life in those two instances, right? When my father passed away and when my marriage fell apart. I don't know, right? We all make choices. We all make choices. And I would much rather be here, be happy, right? Have these great lessons in my life and have these great experiences and have a community like this, right? Like you guys go back to when you were like grade 11, okay? Unless you just got out of high school. But go back to when your senior years in high school, if you finished high school, and just look at the differences in what's going on in the world and how we learn and how we absorb things and the dynamics of different relationships, even in the workforce and the digital age and the computer age, right? That things are so different. Andrew, would you have thought that you would be so proficient on the computer? Right? Would you have thought that? I certainly would never have thought that I would have been a YouTuber. Right? I would never have thought that. But when I got into it, it was the most important thing to me. I didn't realize it at the time, but because one of those things I so desperately dreamed and wished for myself was to stop gambling, right? And have YouTube be that new addiction for me that took me away from something that was destroying, like literally was destroying my life. It was something I have no idea how I managed to get out of that one, because it was pretty wound up in everything about me. And yeah, YouTube pulled me away from that. If I never, ever. And I've been on YouTube 10 years, you guys. I've been here on YouTube 10 years as of, well, January 1st. We started a new decade, right? But who would have known? Because I have not gambled, not even a lottery ticket. I won't even buy lottery tickets as gifts for people, right? And it's bad because I don't buy those raffles too, those charity raffles where they sell those tickets. I don't even do that. Downstairs, they have a seniors community organization and they put on potlucks and parties and stuff for seniors. And once a month, they have this 50-50 draw. I don't gamble, but I make a donation when they're sitting downstairs selling the ticket. I make a donation to the organization. And I have won those 50-50s. I says, I don't even want to know. And then the first time they did put me in, and yes, I won. And right, they just wrote unknown when they posted it, but I knew right away that it was me because they always post the person's name, right? But then after that, I just directly made it a donation at the end of every month. I don't gamble at all, and I have not gambled in 6 years now. I'm absolutely awestruck if I never accomplish anything else in my entire life. That is a gift that, well, I think it's the gift that keeps on giving, because I think because I was able to do that, I was able to take on a little bit more, and that's the truth. Okay. Hello, Kathy. I saw you popped in there. I saw you pop in there. I'm using two mouses here. Let's move this over here. I was just asking everybody how their week has been going. I love the heart. Thank you, Kathy. Owen says, my sister and niece were here, so it was a busy weekend. I know you were happy that they were there. I am sure you enjoyed the company. You probably got a little bit of help there, but also at the same time, that busy when it's usually just your mom, right, Owen? That you're happy to have your your normality, your life back, right? Right? So I'm sure you're relaxing and enjoying it. Did they just leave, Owen, or they've been gone a couple of days? Thank you for popping in. I mean, if you want to go and relax and unwind, yeah, I right. Well, I would say I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I would in this aspect, right? I would have a problem with myself in I would show up no matter what. I would have to try to outdo Andrew and his staph infection and watching me when he's laying in a hospital bed. Like, yeah, right. I gotta do just as well, just as much as right. You guys appreciate me. I appreciate you guys so much too. And I couldn't imagine not showing up if I was capable somehow, right? So I'm not going to say that. But you want to go disappear, right? That's just my nature. And each one of us, right? I think twice in the past month or 6 weeks or so, I have purposely missed coming in for daily lives. I've been taking Saturdays off completely. So when I come into my laptop tonight, I don't take into consideration that I've got to X out all those notifications that have built up on my laptop, right? While I've not been on it. I'm usually on it every day. It takes 1 minute just to go through them and just see what's going on. But right? I haven't been on there a couple of days. That's a nice little pile that I come into. So I'm so glad that some of you guys have got my emails because I never miss those, right? I'm actually pretty good with my mailboxes. I don't like full mailboxes on my computer. I like everything checked into right away. I even check out my trash bins and stuff because some stuff gets picked up as trash, right? Or not trash, spam, but it's not really spam, right? And so if you go into your trash bin, you can see what they marked as spam. And if you want to release permission so that whoever that content is from or who was trying to get a hold of you, then you can release it and then that way they can email you and stuff, especially if it's a new person, you know, because this world is it's run by bots, right? It is a really different world and it's just the beginning. Oh my goodness, right? I see a picture out there of a world where we just become more reliant and more reliant. Oh my goodness. You can write a book by just telling a baseline of a story, right? And somebody says, "Oh, what kind of story would you like to write?" You go blah, 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 blah for like 30 seconds. And then, right? Then some of these programs pick that up and they'll turn that 30 seconds of what you were talking about into an entire novel. And they have that technology. It's out there and people are using it. And this has been going on for a long time, right? Remember when we were in high school? Well, I'm talking to you guys as if you were all baby boomers. If you're not baby boomers, my apology. And I'm quite honored if you're not a baby boomer and you're still hanging out with us that and hanging out with me, right? I think I am ageless. I've always had that personality. Some of it is because I never had children myself, because maybe some of that trauma in my life, I've just kept that childlessness of myself because I'm an explorer and I love adventures. That adds to that too, right? So I have this and color. I love color. And because I'm a people person too, so then I get these conversations with all different ages and also being in supervisory and management positions too, there are always young people that you want to be on their good side. You want to be relatable. You want to be liked because if you're liked, you have loyalty, right? People, I used to do the schedules. I worked in they have them in the States. They're called Perkins. I used to manage a Perkins restaurant here in Winnipeg. I'm not sure if there's any more Perkins here in Winnipeg because I know of a couple that have been shut down, right? And one of those was the one I was working at, and I assistant managed a restaurant Perkins, and I used to do the schedules, and I made the most amazing schedules. But the only reason everybody was so happy with my schedules, the owner was happy, the manager was happy because he liked to run the Saturdays, so which was, well, second busy day. Sunday was the busiest day, which I ran, but he ran the Saturdays, and people were always calling in sick, right? They go out Friday night, they were always calling in sick, and especially when we were hiring young servers. But so he gave me the schedule because it was just so frustrating for him, right? And he gave me the schedule, and I never had a problem with the schedule. The reason being is with the servers, I would work with them, right? They'd have sports, they'd have hobbies. They would have those nights where they would want to go to the bar, or there was a social, which is something Manitoba has where it's like a big party of family and friends and strangers, and it's like a big bar, and it's set up in a community, and that's used to raise money for couples when they get married, right? There are other things, sports socials and stuff, to raise money for sports equipment or travel or whatever. It's something amazing, right, that we have here in Manitoba. Lots of fun. I've been to many, many, many socials, and I used to bartend the socials too. Lots of fun and lots of money too. So, right. But anyway, I've lost track because I trailed off on that, you guys, which probably was a good thing because I probably did really, really travel off. I am trying to slow myself down. I'm just coming off of, well, I was going to say my work week, but because I'm pulling extra shifts, I picked up the Monday shift too. So my week isn't over until Tuesday, and I'll have Tuesday and Wednesday off. Andrew, your parcel is going out. I said it was going out on Tuesday, but I think I have one more shift to do, and I think Tuesday I'm going to stay home. But if I leave the house on Tuesday, I'll go straight to the post office and send your parcel on Tuesday. It's ready to go. I was just waiting to add uh, another little thing to the box, right? So that'll be going out Wednesday probably. But if I'm out, like I said, it'll be out on Tuesday, and I'll send you the tracking number because we know it'll be held up the longest probably at the border. Merry Christmas, Andrew. That's that's one of the parcels that I was wanted to ship out. If you don't know, I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and Canada Post held us as the public hostage over the holidays, right? And yeah, we ended up having problems with getting those holiday gifts out for the holidays. But I did talk to a couple of people that they said that Canada Post really kicked butt, and they were able to get parcels to their family in just a couple of days when they were forced to go back to work. So they really, really did put in a good effort. So I'm going to give them that. But they still held the public hostage because they knew that the public would put up an uproar because their postage wasn't going out, especially at Christmas when the grandkids are waiting for their parcels, and right. And lots of people don't get remembered at Christmas unless their family is sending them a little something, right? Even if it's just a fruitcake or something, right? It's just a little something. So yeah, that's your little something there, Andrew. So Merry Christmas. I got two more going out. I'm doing one a month just so it keeps me within the budget because I am saving money for my car, you guys. I've already got $1,000 put away. Uh, Payday, I'm putting another $100 away. I committed to 100, and then I have the little pension too, where a percentage of that gets added in also at the end of every month. We're doing great, you guys. We're going to get that car. I'm watching online to see what I can get. And there have been a couple of really good deals. And if I had had the money, I would have scooped them up immediately. So I know I'm going to be able to get a really good deal. And I think once spring comes, the market for cars is going to be really good for used cars and for new cars, right? Because everybody has been driving their beaters, haven't they? They've all been driving their beaters since COVID, and people are tired. I noticed this Christmas at work, everybody was so cheery, so many gifts going on, and Christmas cards were back, and people were buying the ornaments, and people were talking about the families coming over for Christmas. So Christmas didn't get smothered or destroyed in any way. If not, I think maybe it might be an even more special holiday because it had been interrupted and because it did affect, right? It did affect, but that's the change, and those are some of the things that we have to roll with. And there's lots that we've got to roll with, but to do it with a smile. It reminds me, I don't know if you guys used to remember a lady, Cindy Vlogs. I don't know. She's an urban explorer, but I think she's out of Arizona, but she's a very independent lady, and she made her own ranch out of an abandoned trailer home or something. She's just doing absolutely amazing. But when she's online, oh my goodness, she is so funny. Like she's like Melvin, the political jokes and the hacking away. And I don't mind in gesture. It's when you do it with cruelty, right? And she usually puts these posts up, and they're so funny. Oh my goodness. And she pokes jabs, but they're not to hurt, right? They're just to lighten things up. She has so much fun. I don't know why she was going to mention, because she I still follow her content, but I'm following her on Instagram. She's a few of the content creators that I am still following on Instagram. I'm pulling myself away. I am a Google girl, right? And in part of that balance for myself, I have to make sure that I'm always enjoying what I'm doing. I don't want anything to ever feel like it's a burden or something that I have to do. It's always, always, always got to be what I want to do. I just thought of something. I wanted to tell you guys a story, and I made a mental note of it because when it happened, I says, "Oh, I got to make sure that I tell everybody this story. It was so amazing, right?" I said on Sunday I'm going to tell everybody, and then I totally forgot about it. I didn't even tell anybody at work. I told one lady what happened at work because it kind of led into the conversation and it jogged the memory like it did just now, what I was talking about. I was at work. And remember what I said, Andrew? There was one little thing that I needed to get into your box, right? And because I can't buy stuff on the weekend, I had to make sure I bought it on the weekday, right? Because the plan was to try to get the box out yesterday, in all truth. But I said for sure on Tuesday, but now I'm changing it till Wednesday, just indefinitely. That's what I'm thinking because I am pooped from the week. Okay, so here's my story. So anyway, I got off work. I paid for this little item, and I got on the bus, and I took the bus instead of going home. I took the bus to the grocery store because I knew my days off were coming, and I wanted to make sure that I had whatever the sales were, whatever the meat was. Right? I know I went out with my sister and I got about 20 pounds of ground beef. I want to eat more protein. So I got about 20 pounds of ground beef. And I made hamburger patties, and then I made slider patties. I made a meatloaf. I made meatballs. And I loaded up my freezer. My freezer is so full, right? But I went to the grocery store to pick up some things for my day off because I didn't want to leave the house. I wanted to kind of buckle in and relax and really get unwound from the week and get ready for the next week. We got dollar days coming up, and that's going to kick my butt, like totally kick my butt. So, anyway, I was at the grocery store and I picked up all my groceries, and the bill came to, I think, $63, something like that. $63. And I go into my purse. Oh no, I take my backpack off, and inside my backpack, I have a recycled cloth bag for my groceries. And I load up the backpack with groceries, and I load up my recycle bag with my groceries and everything. And I put my hand in my purse to pay for everything. And I'm searching in the purse, and I can't find my card. And I'm thinking, and I just lost my driver's license last week, and I couldn't find my bank card, and I'm digging through my purse and everything, and I'm just in a panic mode. And so I just admitted to her, I said, I'm so sorry, dear. I says, I think I left my bank card at work paying for Andrew's little item, right? And I said, I think I left my bank card at work. I'm so sorry, right? And I dumped all my stuff out of the backpack, and I dumped everything out of the recycle bag. And the gentleman who was next, he was about 30 years old, handsome boy, right? Handsome boy, handsome man. He was a, in truth, he got, woo, he did catch my attention. He was handsome. He was blonde and freckled. I think he had a little mustache or something. He was a little cutie pie. He gave me a little smile, and he says, put her groceries through. I've got this. I've got this. I'm going, no, you can't do that. I says, it's like $63. You can't do that. He goes, I want to. And he's smiling at me. He says, don't listen to her. Run it through. And I went, oh, you're such a sweetheart. Oh my goodness. I've never had anything like that happen to. Are you sure? Like, oh, and I don't want to push it, because I understand kindnesses. And sometimes kindnesses aren't for the person who's receiving. Sometimes kindnesses is for the person who's doing the kindness. And sometimes the kindness is for the people who are standing around and seeing the kindness, which were the few people that were standing in line after him and the cashier and me, right? And my heart was just, oh, that's just beautiful. I loaded everything into my backpack and everything, and put everything, shoved it really fast into my recycle bag, and I lifted up my backpack to put it around my shoulder, and there was my wallet sitting right there. I guess I had taken it out as I was in line to pay for the groceries, right? And then when I got to pay for the groceries, it was sitting there, and I put it down to pack my bag. Well, in any case, I looked at the cashier and I said, I found my card. I found my card. Right? He hadn't finished the transaction or anything. Right? Canceled that button. I says, put his groceries onto my butt. Let it roll. And he's going, oh no. And he's going like, no, we're not playing that game. And I said, yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you so much for that kindness, for jumping into my rescue like that. I said to him, it was just the sweetest thing. I says, roll it through. And everybody in line was smiling. The cashier was like, oh my goodness, this is like the best thing I've seen all week. And we rolled it through. The bill was like, I don't know, just over 100 or something altogether with his and mine, right? And I didn't even think, in that excitement of that moment, I didn't tell the cashier, give the guy a recycle bag, because he's picking up all his stuff. It's like this. I felt bad. I felt bad about that. I should have thought, give him a bag too, but he didn't want to say add a recycle bag to the bill too. So he just picked everything. He picked up everything else. We did our thank yous and your amazings, and everybody was like that. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful, and it was worth the $100. Oh my goodness, right? I really couldn't afford it. But I waste money all the time. And what a beautiful way to waste money. It made me feel so good, right? And not just feel good because I did a kindness, but because he initiated the kindness, right? He initiated. It was absolutely magnificent. I'm not done yet. I'm just going to come down here, right? And not only that, so I just thought about it all night and I says, oh, I just can't wait to tell everybody Sunday on that. And like I said, I forgot. But the next morning I went to work and I opened up the store. And, sometimes people can't wait for the store to open to drop off the donations. So there was a big pile of donations already waiting. But because our neighborhood is so full of, homeless people and people who are down and out that way, I didn't want to give them the moment to salvage and rummage through all the beautiful donations that provide jobs that are actually meant as a donation to the store. So I unlocked the door and I couldn't open up the door because of the snow drifts. It's like 40 below zero. So I was kicking all the snow away and I was moving everything away and I was yanking on the door and I finally got it open and I turned off the alarm and I looked out the door and there's a gentleman. He's pulling up and he says, oh, he says, I know you're not open yet. And I says, don't worry about it, dear. I says, I got donations here already. I'm bringing them in. Just drop them off right there. And I pushed against the door and I got all the snow out of the way so I could easily open and close the door. I still had my snow pants and my winter gear on. So I started dragging stuff in. But when I dragged in the first load, I brought out the shovel to make it clear the way. And he goes, give me the shovel. I'm going to shovel for you. And I says, no, you're not going to shovel. No, you're not going to shovel. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. But no, you're not going to shovel. I got a couple of guys who are going to be here in the next few minutes and they're going to shovel. But thank you. Thank you so much. And then right away when he did that, I thought of the guy the night before again. And I made a mental note. Oh, make sure you tell everybody this. And I only told one person. Of all my regular customers, I only told one person. It was such a great story, right? It was such an amazing kindness, is what it was. And I don't, in my life, I haven't had a lot of kindnesses. Now I've had some amazing, amazing kindnesses, but they were very few and far between. And so when a kindness comes my way, it's a big deal to me, right? It's a right like yesterday when one of my customers walks in and it's an elderly couple, right? They come in and they buy all my china and porcelain and everything and they're so sweet. But the last 2 weeks that they've come in with a cup of coffee for me. So right? And it's winter time and I really appreciate that I don't have to go to the coffee shop and the coffee shop's only a block away, right? So I appreciate that I don't have to get all bundled up in my winter gear to go get a cup of coffee, that this couple pops in and they've always got a cup of coffee for me. And it's so super sweet. And and a few days ago, a guy came in and he gave me a box of candy and gift cards. Oh my goodness, I get coffee gift cards and people are so kind to me. You know, it really makes me appreciate the job that I have. And not only the job that I have, but it makes me appreciate the person, right? That I really am. And it's not something that I've recognized because it's just nature. It's just nature, and it's not really right through the lessons in the past couple of weeks. I have been getting triggered, right, and in some of those triggers, I have not um, maybe not failed, but I haven't outshined and I haven't been admirable or say to the point where somebody said, well, maybe once where somebody said, you really handled that well. Right? That I didn't feel it myself. So there has been a couple of times, or I felt that twinge of, right? Or that disappointment in being let down, right? But then so many things. Oh, I got my new camp stove. we returned. My sister bought me a new camp stove for Christmas. I knew it was the deluxe one. It had the barbecue and it had the burner. But you guys know me when I go out on my camping trips. I like the two burners. It's got pancakes going on one and bacon going on in the other. I like my stove top. So uh, it didn't come with the accessories, so I had to return it anyway. And they had the replacement one. I could have grabbed the same one, but I wanted the two burner one. So I grabbed the two burner one and I got to have three tins of propane. So I got the little fat boy propane tanks for the stove too, because it was a cheaper one. I knew my sister got me the deluxe version. I didn't need the deluxe, right? But my sister wanted me to have the deluxe, and that's what she gave me. And that was really sweet too. So I've got it sitting here. I'm not even putting it away or anything. I'm just staring at it, right? I'm just like, oh, that's so amazing. I'm so in love with my. I'll show you guys my camp stove. And it's just sitting here. I'm just staring at it, right? Look at it, you guys. That was my Christmas present from my sister Tracy. It's a Woods brand. My last one was a Coleman stove, and I still have it. And it still works great. But I thought, because you're right, I'm getting mature, so I want to make sure that when I'm geared up, that I have good stuff, right? That now I have gear. I have gear. I have good gear, right? But where I'm working, great gear comes into the store. So I'd like to replace anything that needs to be replaced. And for me, uh I earn everything, right? But I do receive kindnesses, because kindnesses come with such great emotions, right? It's really, really kind of neat. Just all you have to do is, and I'm sure the crew that I'm hanging out with right now, they get it, because they're so kind themselves, just opening up the door for somebody, where a door, and you know how heavy some of these doors are, when you go in a department store and you're like, oh, holy moly, right? This is a store for an 18-year-old, not an 80-year-old, right? And you hold up the door. Okay. I think so. I think so. But it's not always. Well, when I say I think so, I just saw Owen's comment. He said, "You're very blessed, Cindy." And, I'd like to think so, right? I actually I believe so. And I think probably I should believe more than what I understand. You know what I mean? Like, right? I think there's so much more for me to be grateful about, but I don't quite recognize absolutely everything, right? Lots of it goes right over me, and that's okay, right? Life is on repeat. It'll get right, it'll come my way again. Yeah, I've learned that one for sure. I have. Okay, let's come down here. Oh, Melvin is here. Hi, Melvin. Yeah, Melvin. Melvin says that the problem with gambling machines was always sponsored by the provinces. And you're right there. Here in Manitoba, the funds for gambling, they go to sports. Um, I think they go to sports and they go to community. So whatever that community organization is that they would change. Oh, and I think to medical too, if I'm thinking correctly, Melvin, Manitoba, the money goes to medical to offset it, or to help, because in Manitoba, we have the Health Science Center, which is one of the, what do you call it? One of the, hold on a second. One of the biggest and most renowned research facilities in the world, not just in Canada, and they have some of the greatest scientists there. And I think a lot of that gambling money, it does be donated to that, right? And if I think of it that way, right? Where we're all meant to provide service and we all meant to give. I guess even as a gambler, I was giving, wasn't I? I was giving to good causes without really intentionally knowing that I was giving to good causes. So thinking of it that way, it kind of takes some of that battery I had for myself when it came to gambling, because I was really wired and really stuck in that hamster wheel for a very long time. In truth, it destroyed my marriage. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee here, you guys, right? I'm starting to slow down now. That's good. I think I forgot to put my sweetener in my coffee. It's not very sweet, but that's okay. It's fluids. Mm, yeah, that was good. I needed that. Okay. So, what's with you guys? Tell me. Somebody start a conversation on something, and then we'll see where it goes. And if you don't come up with then, I'm going to ask Melvin. I'll ask Melvin to offer up the topic, and then everybody could jump in on that, right? So I'm thinking, I come in all the time and I say, "How was your week?" Right? And I love that Owen actually says, right, what's going on with his family. I know last week that Owen didn't make it in, and I knew he was right. And I'm glad that it was a visit and company of family that was coming to visit. I'm just sending out some good cheer. I got a fire truck and paramedics running by the building right now. Hopefully, they'll get to their destination and it's a false alarm, and they'll turn around and go right back. I try to catch them all when I hear them. I don't always hear the fire trucks. Sometimes I'm passed out asleep. Sometimes they're here all the time in the building that I live in. There's a lot of honorable that live in the building that I live in, and sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can see the lights going on the walls of my apartment. So I try to think. I'm half asleep when that happens, but sometimes I'll get up to go to the washroom or get something to drink, and I'll send some good cheer out to that, right? But I catch very few in this building in all honesty, right? And yeah, I actually have probably none. I've never sent good cheer. I send good cheer to every single one that stops, and just now I'm thinking I've never sent good cheer to one that stops in front of my building. Never, because they're in front of my building. They're at the destination. Oh my goodness, we'll have to course correct that one, right? Let them get to the door and find that it's a false alarm. That's what we'll hope for if it sits on our thing. I'm just going to open up my window here. It got really, really mild. It got really, really mild in Winnipeg. The heater in the building that I work with went on the blink. It died out, but nobody noticed because we're as staff are so busy working that we're not noticing that it's cold. We're out of the wind, and we got a little steam going on. The customers, they're not noticing either, because when they walk into the store, they're wearing their winter coats, right? So they're not noticing. All we didn't get any complaints really, except for staff, right? That this at the end of my shift today, somebody mentioned, "Oh, Cindy, can you turn the heat up?" And I says, "We haven't had heat for 2 days, and we only got an hour left. I'm not turning the heat on. It doesn't work anyway, right?" Yeah. It was fun. We managed to get through it, but it has been a very mild day. So again, grateful because I couldn't imagine it being 40 below zero and we don't have a heater at work. That would have been bad. I think we did it for 2 days last year. And I think it was because they forgot to change the filter on the furnace and they blew something in the furnace, and hopefully that's not the case this year, that this year somebody was up there and they changed the filter before it clogged up, or somebody's going to be in big trouble. Won't be me. But yeah, fresh air, really nice. I was saying today to one of my customers, I really do feel like I could walk home tonight. Last winter, I tried to walk home once a week from my job. It's a good walk, right? And especially at wintertime, 40 below, so it's a good walk. But I normally don't walk in those cold days, even though I could, right? Because I am bundled up warm enough. But I like to walk home on those mild days and just take my time. And today was one of those days. It was really nice outside today. And yet last week, oh my goodness, people could have died, and people probably did die here in Manitoba. They had to shut the highways down. I'm assuming I heard Andrew had some bad weather last week too. But here in Manitoba, they had to shut the highways down, and there was what do you call those pileups? There were pileups of accidents out on the highway. You couldn't even see a few feet in front of your windshield. It was so bad. Yeah. And on the highways, you have the big semi trucks, right? And those things go sideways. They take everything out. Hmm. But I think it's even warmer. Oh, yeah, it's -5 Celsius right now. And it was like close to -50 Celsius with the wind chill last week. I don't know how long the weather is going to last. I haven't looked at the weather channel. I've been so busy with work, right? I don't like to be so busy and not understand or see what everything is going on, or miss the lessons, or miss a conversation, or miss an adventure. So I try to stay on top of it, right? And that accounts for a lot of that speed too. And I make up time. Like I listen to a lot of stuff in the background when I'm doing stuff, but I don't absorb it the same way as when I'm just sitting here with a cup of coffee and taking it in. Okay. Andrew says, for my part of Indiana, the weather lately has been unusually cold and snowy. It's wonderful to see the snow that is now mostly ice melting. Yeah, so it doesn't stick around where you're living. I don't, right? I was really surprised that you got that amount of snow when you said it was really snowing there in Indiana. I thought, right? It only happens that way maybe in North Dakota, right? Because we've all seen that movie Fargo. Oh, and I was gonna say, Andrew, um, um, that parcel that I'm sending by post, it's going to come to your house, isn't it? Andrew, you have to let me know because in to be honest, it's not light, right? It's a fairly it's a foot and a half by it's a big box. Andrew. So I want to make sure, like your post office, do they deliver to your house if I send it? Like here in Canada, if I send things by post, it gets to the person's house. I just want to make sure that you're not going to have to pick it up at the post office or something, right? Because I wouldn't want you to have to drag it home unless you got a granny wagon or something, right? Those things are great. I want all you guys to be rolling around with your granny wagons. I just love them. And I got the idea from the university students. All the university students use the granny wagons for their school books and stuff, and they just drag it around wherever they go. And I thought, oh my goodness, I should be dragging my stuff around wherever I go. I've got two of them, right? I got three of them. One's for parts, right? So I could do little repairs if I need to do repairs. Um, and then I have one for my rock hounding, where all my rock hounding stuff is in. And then the other one I use for groceries and bringing home my staff charges and stuff, right? Most of my mail gets delivered to my post office box. A larger package goes into a locker or can be picked up at the counter. That's not good, Andrew. That's not good, Andrew. I don't want you to be picking up this box. Do you have a sled? Oh my goodness. I never even thought of that. You know what? I'll talk to my sister. My sister ships all the time. So I'll talk to my sister and see if it would be better for me to put these in two separate packages so that you could pick them up one at a time. I could do that. We'll play it by ear. And again, I thought of that yesterday, right? I thought of that yesterday, and then I thought to mention it tonight, and then again, totally forgot about it until it just jogged to my memory from the conversation. Okay, Andrew. Okay. Okay. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I send it off. Like I said, it'll be Wednesday for sure, possibly Tuesday if I can get off my butt. But I am super tired. This week has really wiped me out. I've been working full time now for, I think, a couple of months now. December, oh, not even a couple of months yet. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Yeah. Oh, it hasn't been long at all. We still got a while to go, you guys. But I'm putting that extra money I'm making, right? That's just going to be savings, and I'm putting it towards the car. We are getting a vehicle. I was thinking of possibly of going into a lottery for a seasonal. Um, uh, but if nothing else, we are going to put together maybe 5 camping trips, and 3 of them will be in the province here, Manitoba, and 2 of them will be on Ontario, just on the outskirts of the border, right? That I really love Ontario provincial parks. I cannot wait to have my own Class B RV and be out on the road permanently, right? Live in provincial parks, go bottle digging and rock hounding, and right. I get the I get Starlink attached to the RV so that I can go live still work no matter where I am in North America. I'll be able to go live because Starlink will be hooked up to the RV. We could go digging for crystals live. You can come for a hike with me up in the mountains. Maybe not on the mountains because I would assume reception would make a difference. But I'm thinking that Starlink is really sharp, and it catches a lot. It doesn't miss a lot. but I'm not the expert in it yet. I've done a little research on it, and I'm just kind of setting the plan in motion, right? Moving towards those goals, even though in this moment there are small things that we're accomplishing, like the car and the dental, and we're getting a computer, right? I'm just racking money right now. I'm just trying to get myself in the habit of racking money because I am not somebody who on the norm is stringent, is tight with myself. I'm usually, right? I am a glitter girl. If it catches my eye, if I want it, I usually will treat myself to it. If it doesn't affect, right, the overhead, doesn't affect the rent, doesn't affect the bills, right, doesn't affect the stress levels in my system, because I lived that way. I was that person who would just juggle their bills, and I would just pay a little bit here and a little bit there. So I always had the stress of my bills on me all the time. It feels so good to pay my bills on time. I don't even think about them. My house bills, I don't even think about them anymore. Pay my rent, pay my house bills, right? And I'm putting money away. Am I perfect? I'm far from it, you guys. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I spent $63 at the grocery store last night, and that gentleman was going to pay for them for me. I thought that was so nice. But I was a little embarrassed because that $63 that he was whipping out his card real fast so he could pay for them for me was all silly, stupid stuff. I'm trying to think. There might have been some juice, might have been some fruit, maybe. But on the most part, right, it was just all filler comfort stuff, cheese and sour cream and stuff that will make it so I have nice treats and a nice day off, and that's the way. But right, like I said, embarrassed or not embarrassed, it was still really, really nice gesture, and something that doesn't happen to me very often. A little bit more lately, right? That things move that way for me. But, on the norm growing up, that was not the norm. So when a kindness did come my way, right, I always recognized it. And it's something I allow in my life. I run on my own steam and kindnesses, right? And it's a system that works out for me, right? I'm not beholden because I'm not asking favors, right? I am not bugging people. I am not fatal attraction. Is that what you call it? I'm not stalking, right? I'm not demanding. And I'm quite accepting and quite comfortable in where I'm at right now. And that's not something I would have thought I would be even maybe a couple of years ago. I would have been content, right? Those dreams, those goals, those expectations are still there, but that demanding, prioritizing need for it's not there. Like I said, if nothing else, I am super grateful, and it's the greatest exchange, right? In what I'm putting out there in that exchange for not being a gambler anymore, right? That was the worst thing. Like I said, it ruined my marriage. It brought on new addictions because I got addicted to those payday loans. I don't know if they have them in the States where you get a payday loan and then you have to pay back on payday. And I had like three or four of those going on at the same time, and I would take one loan and then I would pay it off, and then I would take another loan there, and then I'd go to the next place, I would pay them off, and then I would take another loan from them, and then I'd go to the next place, I'd pay them off, and then I would take another loan, and then I would still only have a little loan, and then I would still owe these three places. I think I never did more than three places, but juggling, when I said I juggled bills, I juggled bills, and it caused a lot of stress in my life. I don't juggle. And if I am forced to juggle, I will just make a choice and change will come about, and I won't be juggling. And sometimes it's only in my own determination to do a good job of keeping those kind of stresses off me. Where, right? There was a time when I thought that's just the way my life is. That's the way it is. I won't be able to do much better than this level of stress. And that was a lie. That was 100% lie. Stress is the worst, the very worst thing ever. And people stress about the, you can't say silliest thing, because it's in our levels of what we can take, and where our minds, we could be complete genius in one aspect and then total coward in another one. And so we should never downplay what we think we're capable of, or what we think we should be capable of. Right, to each one of us, it's a certain level that we can tolerate. And you feel that way, you just have to make a choice and pull yourself away from that. And I've had to do that numerous times in the past, just even the past few months. And it was just in my mindset, a lot of just saying, okay, Cindy, don't worry about it, it's all good. But sometimes you can't just say don't worry about it, right? Because if I didn't pay my bill, those stresses would be right back on me. And then if I didn't pay my bill because I'm frivolous with money, I would have spent that money, and that money would not be available to me to pay that overdue bill, which would cause me to overstress, right? And in that domino effect, I would be looking at my life to the point of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen because I've done that? It just goes from missing one bill to losing the roof over your head, right? Because that's how involved I would get with covering my butt when it came to gambling. Yeah, it's a terrible addiction, but all addictions, right? Well, I'm not going to say all addictions, because what about my addiction to being a YouTuber, right? But it's healthy and so beneficial. Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine, right? What would happen to those other parts of me if they came back, and right, and they pulled this one, and then, oh my goodness, right? I would hate to I would hate to think that, but I understand now, right? I'm just going to keep taking in the lessons. I'm just going to, right? Just following the insights and following the fun in my life and the adventures, the conversations, and remembering to take note of these kindnesses, because wow, it blew me away. It really did blow me away. It was so nice to have these gentlemen do these kind things for me. And it's not just the guys either. It's right, the women too, baking me stuff. Still haven't found anybody to make my bonnet for me, who could knit my bonnet for me, right? But I'll pay them $40 if they can knit my bonnet for me, because I sure would like to have that replaced before I, right, make some changes into my life where I might not have the opportunity to meet somebody who knits. I'm just stretching my legs here. Give me 1 second. I'm having Charlie horses, you guys. Um, Give me 1 second. I'm going to get some juice. I can hear you talking. Carry on. There we go. That'll be better than coffee. I like coffee, and I felt like a cup of coffee when I got home today. But I know on the weekends I don't take in enough. I don't take in enough fluids. And so, yeah, my muscles tighten up here and there. And I knew I was thirsty. I knew I was thirsty when I started my live show. And oh my goodness, I should have had something to drink. We'll just shake the leg out. Okay. Okay. That's what I'll do then, Andrew. That's what I'll do. I'll put it right. It is a big box, and I really didn't take that into consideration until yesterday. So I'll just put them in 2 boxes, and I think you should be able to manage to put one under the armpit or something, right? Just put it under the, or just bring a big recycle bag with you, Andrew, when you come to pick it up, and then you'll be able to just drop it into a recycle bag, and then it will be plausible. And then I'll try and make it so that it's only a couple of days apart, so that right, you get your first parcel, and then you'll wonder, oh, what's in the next one, right? Okay, perfect. I'm glad we got that sorted. Okay, that's exactly what I'll do. Okay, here I'm just gonna backtrack a little bit and see. But that was awesome. Melvin came in too. I didn't see him come in. Okay, I see where Melvin popped in now. Hello, everybody. Right after Kathy came in, I must have just started ranting about something or rather. I don't want to stir the pot or anything, but I heard you guys have a new president, and I'm going to say congratulations on a new president, right? I know. Oh, here it comes. I know he might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I know the Americans how patriotic they are, and being the president, you'll still have your voice, right? The minority will always keep the majority accountable, 100%, right? But I suspect that everything will be okay. It sounds like he went right to work. He's keeping his word. I heard something about the hostage thing. Did they release the hostages that they were supposed to release? Right? I heard there was some kind of thing saying they better release the hostages, and I went, oh my goodness! And they were saying the day of the inauguration, and then I haven't heard anything since about whether or not they released the hostages or not. I needed that. Yeah, that's the kind of fluids that I needed. And it's better that I have those muscle things right now, because then I know for sure, right? Because if I didn't have those muscle tightnesses things going on, I would go to bed and I would have some wicked Charlie horses. So between now and when I go to bed, I have the opportunity to get a lot of fluids and rehydrate from my weekend. I do exert myself, right? But we all do. And there are expectations, not just by the company, but I have expectations of how the shift should run too. And sometimes, we have to fly by the seat of our pants. I went to work today, and one of my employees, he's always there one early. He always tries. He really does try. But he's out there behind the garbage bins, and I thought it was a homeless guy, and the guy was just puking all over the place. And I just stood there and stared at him, and I didn't know what to say to him, right? Because there's homeless in our back alley because they're looking for the donations, right? And then I looked up and I says, "Oh, that's so and so, right? He's working today." I go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "I'm throwing up." I says, "Well, I can see you're throwing up, but what's wrong?" He says, "I'm throwing up." And I says, "That's a symptom of what's going on." What's going on? He goes, "I don't know. I got a stomach ache." And I says, "How long have you had the stomach ache?" He says, "Since last night." And I says, "Well, I suspect if you still have the stomach ache now, it's not going to get any better during the course of your shift. So don't bring it to work if it's the stomach flu. I would prefer if you just go home, right?" He goes, "Really, Cindy?" And he brightened right up. "Really, Cindy?" And he's not a liar. I could tell he wasn't feeling good. And he didn't know I was coming around the corner. He had no idea that I was standing there watching him, right? So he was really sick. So he appreciated. I just said, "I'll leave a note saying you came to work anyway, but I could tell you were really sick." And that's exactly what I did. And it was the truth. And I just got over getting sick myself. So I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want anybody else on the crew to get sick. So off he went, and we weren't short staffed, but we did fine. The store was beautiful. Of course, that's not going to be the story when I get back to work. That's usually how it is. But I know how well the store was looking when I left, and I know how hard everybody worked. And in the end, I guess that's all that matters, right? And yeah, I was proud of my chef, but we worked a little short staffed in that. We got the job done, but again, like I said, I didn't pay attention to the fluids except for the couple coffees that I did have. But again, coffee does not hydrate in any way, right? These fruit juices do though. These are the ocean sprays. They're really good. They are good because they're really low in calories. A big glass of this is only 10 calories, but it's full of aspartame, or is that what it is? Like or sweeteners. But it's really good, right? It's real fruit juice. So yeah, I've been really enjoying these now. They're a little pricey, but they do go on sale every once in a while, so I don't mind buying them every once in a while. I don't drink so much of it, but today I'll probably have a few glasses of this before I go to bed just to rehydrate, right? That'll probably be the end of the coffee drinking for today, and get through just one more shift, and I have 2 days off. I have some emails to shoot off, see how my sister Tracy is doing. She's been trying to recuperate, but she's had a couple of stumbles along the way, and lots of us have had the wrench thrown into the engine, or little mishaps, or little failures, or little start overs. And I don't think there's many people who haven't had that, but it's in that attitude, right? And she's doing much better. I think emotionally, I think she's got a little bit better. What's the word? Um, Not motivation, but she's a little bit not as stressed, right? About what's going on. She can feel like she's getting some answers and stuff, that she's able to have a little bit of control, a little bit of say over her life, right? Where she might not have had even a couple of months ago, right? She even got her divorce and everything. She's doing so good, right? She's doing so good. That woman never gives up. None of my sisters ever give up. We just all just keep going, right? Just keep moving forward, keep adapting, keep conquering whatever wrench or disaster or failure or redo is thrown into our lives, and right, we just keep going. That's what we do. And things do get better, right? Just like I said, I could have my groceries paid for me. I couldn't have recognized this kind gentleman this morning who wanted to shovel my parking lot for me. Uh, right? People bringing me coffee to work, people showing up, and going back to my story when I was talking about being a manager at Perkins. I could tell I trailed right off of that one. But to get right back on track of that one is I used to do the schedules and everything. And I worked with people for those nights off and those little surprise events that family would put together, and they really wanted to have it off and they were on a schedule, and I would work with them and I would find a way to make sure that they had that time off for those events or those experiences that they wanted to have. Now, if somebody called in sick, I would ask those people, so and so didn't show up. Can you come in and cover their butt for me? Right? Help me out. Every single time they said yes, right? And that was the loyalty, because I did those kindnesses for them, that they appreciated how I worked the schedule around their life. The manager never had to worry about people not showing up for work. And if people didn't show up for work, all he would have to do is say, call Cindy, right? Call Cindy. And Cindy would take care of it. And so I got to appreciate a lot of the younger people. So when we were talking about I'm ageless, we're right. I really went off the branch on that one, that I'm ageless. It's because I had these interactions with people from all different ages, even managing restaurants in my late 30s and early 40s, that I was still hanging out and having fun. But I was doing that with 20-year-olds, right? Because I didn't have kids myself. I didn't have a right. I was separated, didn't have a husband. I was looking for husband number two, right? At least at that moment, I thought I was looking for husband number two. After a couple of years, you appreciate that there's no ties like that in your life at all. You're not going down that route again. I or dodged the bullet on that one. I could have ended up with that person, thank goodness, had the sense to say, no, I'm better off on my own. Whether I was better off on my own, I don't know, right? But these were the pep talks that I would give to myself. And, I really appreciate my time on my own. I didn't realize that I would appreciate it as much as I did. I always had people around me. I was always involved in other people's lives, and other people were always involved in my life. I was around people all the time, right? But, when I stopped gambling, I had already started to be by myself, because that's what you are. You're by yourself when you're gambling, right? You don't want to be interrupted. You don't want to have conversations. You're not really interacting with anybody except that machine in front of you. So I had already been stepping into that role of being a loner, right? And then when I didn't have my gambling and I was doing my YouTube, I was doing that all on my own. But before that, for years and years, right? Maybe decades, I was going off camping and venturing all by myself, even before I was a YouTuber, right? And then once I shared, right, all those adventures on YouTube, it just became more comfortable for me, because I didn't know anybody who was a YouTuber. I didn't know anybody who was doing what I was doing, right? I didn't know any vloggers, and I didn't know any well, I did get to know some entrepreneurs, only because, right, I chased the entrepreneurs. I wanted to work with the entrepreneurs because I really believe that highly sensitives and empaths and introverts, that they should be their own bosses. We're not the type of people who really should be working for other people unless there's a lot of recognition for that contribution. We should be our own bosses, because we can't take that. We can't take that breathing down. We can't take that dictation. We can't take that negativity or that being put in our place right? Or being able to be so good at the job that right, you're capable but you don't want it, and so somebody gets upset because right, they need it, and it's just natural for you, right? Just natural for me, and I find myself kind of rubs me wrong with some people sometime, that little bit of confidence in myself. But, I can't pretend anymore that, somebody is smarter, or somebody is braver, or somebody's more courageous, or somebody's got, right, what prettier, whatever it is, right? I have to be able to appreciate all those qualities that I am confident that uh, that are mine, right? And not deny them anymore, just to make somebody else feels better. And that's it's kind of hard, right? And it is a process for me, but so was coming in front of the camera. It took me over a year. So was quitting gambling. That took me Well, it took me a few years too. I tried for years and years before I actually quit in this new way of being super active and super involved in something else that I really really loved. Right? I loved gambling. Right? But that's you're supposed to love your addiction. It'd be kind of stupid to have an addiction and you don't even love it. Right? Then that is it's a serious problem anyway. But if you don't love your addiction, that's a serious problem because you should be able to just snap out of something that you don't love, right? Sometimes it's just a push, sometimes it's just the courage, right? Yeah, sometimes just having that little bit of bravery to know that everything is going to be okay. I don't know where that bravery with me came from, but I think it was just a slow process. I think it was just something that it took time. It just took time, and it took practice, and yeah, and here I am, right? And this is comfortable for me, right? Like when I came in, I only had time just to do this to my ponytail, 'cause my ponytail and hair, and it was all sticking out like this from work and everything, tuck it behind my ear, do this, and I looked at my thumbnail and I went, "Oh my goodness, you look like death rolled over, Cindy." And I opened up my drawer because I always keep my lipstick in my drawer here. And I right before I hit that live button, I went and I pulled it open and I put my lipstick on and I looked at myself. Oh, so much better. I felt so much better, right? But on the norm, right? I came in live anyway. My hair was like this, my hair, right? No makeup on. I'm still in my work clothes, right? Actually, this isn't even my work clothes. The heat went off at work, so I wore this underneath a hoodie for at work, right? Because I don't want to get sick. I just finished a cold that I have, and just even talking now, I can already tell that my voice is raunched out. But when I'm at work, I'm doing this, right? The whole shift, I'm just yapping the whole way through. And that's part of the community that I'm in. And it's part of the running the show at the same time, right? I don't necessarily have to do the whole job myself, but I have to be able to dictate well enough that I have to know what has to be done next. What is going to make the boss happy? What is she going to notice if we don't get done, right? And that's the truth. Okay, you guys, look at that. 9 o'clock. I just glanced over at the clock and 9 o'clock on the dot. I am starting my set of days off on Tuesday. I'm glad I able to catch Andrew here. If you have any other specifics that you want me to do, Andrew, just let me know, and I will make sure it happens. Because however it is, that's most comfortable for you to make sure that you get this at home, safe and sound, and without any injuries. That would make me happy. That would seriously make me happy. Okay. a lot more water. I've always been a good sleeper, Andrew. But you're right. Drinking as much water as you can possibly get into your system, like as much water as you can get into your system. I don't drink nearly enough water. And I wish I did. I'm going to have a few more glasses of juice, not having any water. I don't usually, but I might make some frozen juice and then just put lots of water, just make it really thinned out because I just need a little bit of flavor in there just so I don't taste the chlorine in the water. Here in Manitoba, we have very hard water, lots of minerals and stuff in the water. So they do use an awful lot of chlorine. As a baby, I was a fluoride baby where we got free dental. My family, my mom and dad got free dental for all the kids until we were 18. If we went into this trial where we had to take fluoride, a lot of fluoride on our toothbrushes, in our juice. We had to gargle with it. Oh my goodness, my mother cooked with it. It was pretty heavy session of fluoride, and it went on for a few years. For sure, it went on for a few years, but we got free dental in that. And that test was to see how much was a safe level for putting fluoride into the water in British Columbia because I was raised in BC, right? So they were trying to figure out how much was a safe level. So they had to do trials, and right, my parents not being rich and all their kids needing dentures or what do you call it, dental work, right? That would have been expensive, wouldn't it? And there was a good way to offset the costs for my parents, who were very resourceful in well, keeping their family going 100%. There were challenges, there were wrenches, there were failures, weren't there? Okay, you guys, have a great night. If you want to pop in, I will be in tomorrow. It'll be before 1 o'clock. It'll probably be around noon or something that I come in for a half an hour or so. If not, I will be in again on Tuesday. And if not, we'll see you guys next Sunday night. You guys, it'll be show and tell next week. And I've got some interesting things in my bin. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I grabbed this payday. I can't remember half of it, but I know everything was really okay. You guys, have a great night and have a great week. We'll see you next week.